Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudite Nashtapraye Shavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhagavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, today we are starting a chapter 16, the pastimes of the Lord in his childhood and youth. Text 1. Kripa Sudha Saridhyasya Vishwam Mahapalva Yanti Api Nicha Gyaiva Sada Bhati Tam Chaitanya Prabhum Bhaje. I worship Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose nectarian mercy flows like a great river, inundating the entire universe. Just as a river flows downstream, Lord Chaitanya especially extends himself to the fallen. And Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami say, I'm worshipping you because he's acknowledging that he is the most fallen. Not acknowledging, but he's saying, I am the most fallen, so I need your mercy. Narottam Das Thakur has sung, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo. He prays for Lord Chaitanya's mercy because he is a mercy incarnation, having appeared especially to reclaim the fallen souls. The more fallen one is, the greater one's claim to the favor of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One must only be very sincere and serious. Despite having contaminated by all the bad qualities of this Kali Yuga, if one surrenders unto the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord will surely and certainly deliver him. The best example is Jagai and Madhai. In this age of Kali, practically everyone is like Jagai and Madhai. But the Sankirtan movement inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is still flowing like a great river, inundating the entire world, and thus the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is successfully claiming all fallen souls to free them from contamination. This is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Extends himself to the fallen, and Prabhupada says, those who are most fallen, they have the first right to the mercy of the Lord. So it doesn't mean we make ourselves fallen, but our mentality should be, I'm most fallen. I need your mercy, because only by mercy of Mahaprabhu we can make some progress. That's all. We have to understand this. As Prabhupada said, everyone is like Jagai and Madhai in this age of Kali. We are very, very fallen actually. We don't have anything. No bodily strength, no mental strength, no bhakti, nothing. What can we do? But Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, he can lift us up. He can take us back to God. And Prabhupada said, one must only be very sincere and serious. That's all. That's all we need to be in our devotional service to get the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Gaura, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of the Lord. Jiyat Kashora Chaitanyo Murti Matya Grihashramat Lakshmi Archito Atha Vagadevya Disham Jai Jai Chalat. Long live Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Kashore age. Both the goddess of fortune and the goddess of learning worshipped him. The goddess of learning, Saraswati, worshipped him in his victory over the scholar who had conquered all the world. And the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, worshipped him at home because he married Lakshmi Devi, Lakshmi Priya. Since he is therefore the husband or lord of both goddesses, I offer my obeisances unto him. So, goddess of learning Saraswati worshipped him in his victory over the scholar who had conquered all the world. So, there was a Keshav Kashmiri Pandit, Digvijay Pandit. So, this pastime will come later in this chapter. So, we'll discuss in detail then. Eita Kashor Lila Sutra Anubandha Shishya Gana Pada Ite Karila Rambha. At the age of 11, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to teach students. This marks the beginning of his Kashor age. Shata Shata Shishya Sange Sada Adhyapana Vyakhya Shuni Sarva Lokir Chama Chamakitama. As soon as the Lord became a teacher, many students came to him, every one of them astonished to hear his mode of explanation. Sarva Shastre Sarva Pandit Paye Parajaya Vinaya Bhangite Karo Dukha Nahiyaya. The Lord defeated all kinds of scholars and discourses about all the scriptures. Yet, because of his gentle behavior, none of them were unhappy. So generally, when one gets defeated, he gets unhappy because his learning is in question, his ego is crushed. But the way the Lord defeated all the scholars, in a very gentle and very humble way, none of them became unhappy. And although Mahaprabhu was only 11 years old, Kashor age, and they're big, aged scholars, but they still got defeated by the Lord. Vividha Audhatya Kare Shishya Gana Sanghe Jana Vite Jala Keli Kare Nana Range. The Lord as a teacher performed various kinds of pranks in his sporting pastimes in the water of the Ganges. Katya Dine Kaila Prabhu Bange Tega Mana Yaha Yae Taha Lae Nama Sankirtan. After some days, the Lord went to East Bengal, and wherever he went, introduced the Sankirtan movement. Although Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees in disciplic succession can defeat all kinds of learned scholars, scientists, and philosophers in arguments, thus establishing the supremacy of the personality of God, their main business as preachers is to introduce Sankirtan everywhere. So now we have to show off our scholarship. The idea is to introduce Sankirtan, to involve everybody in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Simply to defeat scholars and philosophers is not the occupation of a preacher. Preacher must simultaneously introduce the Sankirtan movement, for that is the mission of the Chaitanya current. So the idea is not to defeat anybody. The idea is to transform the heart as much as possible. Transform the heart so that the person takes up Krishna consciousness or takes up the chanting of the holy names. That's the whole idea. Vidyara prabhav dekhi chamatkara chete shata shata padu iya asilagila padite. Struck with wonder by the influence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's intellectual prowess, many hundreds of students came to the Lord and began studying under his direction. Sai desha vipranam mishra tapana nishchaya karite nare sadhya sadhana. In East Bengal, there was a Brahmin named Tapan Mishra who could not ascertain the objective of life or how to attain it. So Mahaprabhu, from Navadvip, he went to East Bengal, or now which is Bangladesh. So there he met a Brahmin named Tapan Mishra. Now, if you remember earlier, it was described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami about Mahaprabhu's time in Banaras. So this Tapan Mishra was Brahmin, and he was asked by Mahaprabhu to come to Banaras to live there. And Tapan Mishra was the father of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. His son is Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So anyway, Tapan Mishra, there was a Brahman who could not ascertain the objective of life or how to attain it. One must first ascertain the object of life and then understand how to attain it. The Krishna consciousness movement is pointing out to everyone that the object of life is to understand Krishna. And to attain that goal of life, one must practice Krishna consciousness, following the methods prescribed by the Goswamis with reference to the authoritative Shastras and Vedas. So, this is the objective of life, to attain Krishna or Krishna Prem, and how to get to it, that's also explained. Bahu Shastra Bahu Vakya Chitte Brahmahai Sadhya Sadhan Shreshta Nahai Nishchai. If one becomes a bookworm, reading many books and scriptures and hearing many commentaries and the instructions of many men, this will produce doubt within his heart. One cannot in this way ascertain the real goal of life. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Granthan neva bhayaset bahunna vyakyam upayunjita. One should not read many books, nor should one try to make a profession of reciting many books, especially if one is a devotee. One must give up the ambition to be a learned scholar, and in this way earn a worldly reputation and financial facilities. If one diverts his attention to studying many books, he cannot fix his mind in devotion service, nor can he understand many scriptures, for they are full of grave statements and meanings. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives his opinion that those who are attracted to studying many kinds of literature concerning various subject matters, especially fruitive activities and philosophical speculation, are deprived of unalloyed devotional service because of their split attention. They cannot fix their mind on one thing. And this is why Rupa Goswami also says in Nectar of Instruction, Atyahara prayasascha. So atyahar. Ahar means the thing, food given to every sense. For stomach, it's different food. For the mind, brain, it is different food. But atyahar is not recommended. Man has a general tendency towards fruitive activities, religious, ritualistic ceremonies, and philosophical speculation. A living entity, thus bewildered since time immemorial, does not understand the real goal of life, and thus his activities in life are wasted. Innocent persons misled in this way are deprived of unalloyed Krishna bhakti, devotional service to the Lord. Tapan Mishra is a vivid example of such a person. He was a learned scholar, but he could not ascertain what the goal of life is. Therefore, he was given a chance to hear Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing Sanatana Goswami. Lord Chaitanya's instruction to Tapan Mishra is especially significant for persons who loiter here and there collecting books and reading none of them, thus becoming bewildered regarding the aim of life. So Tapan Mishra's purpose, he was a learned scholar, but different books will teach different things. So he could not for sure figure out what's the goal of life. That's the purpose. He was given a chance to hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing Sanatana Goswami, and that happened in Banaras. Swapne eka vipra kahe shuna hatapana nimai pandita pashe karaha gaman. Tapan Mishra, being thus bewildered, was directed by a Brahmin in a dream to go to Nimai Pandit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Teho tomar sadhya sadhan kari benishaya, sakshat Ishvara teho nahika sanshaya. Because he is the Lord Ishwar, the Brahmin told him, undoubtedly he can give you proper direction. Swapne dekhi Mishra asi Prabhu racharane, swapne ravo rittanta sabha kaila nivedan. After seeing the dream, Tapan Mishra came to the shelter of Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, and he described all the details of the dream to the Lord. So when Mahaprabhu was in East Bengal, or now Bangladesh, Tapan Mishra came to see him, and he described all the details of the dream. Prabhu tushta haya sadhya sadhana kahila, nama sankirtan kara upadesha kahila. The Lord, being satisfied, instructed him about the object of life and the process for attaining it. He instructed him that the basic principle of success is to chant the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is based upon this instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one must chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly and according to the prescribed principles. We simply ask our Western students to chant at least 16 rounds a day, but sometimes we find that they fail to chant even 16 rounds, and instead they bring many austere books and a worshipping method that diverts their attention in so many ways. And this is the problem when we read too many books. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult is based upon the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Lord Chaitanya first advised Tapan Mishra to fix his mind on this chanting. We, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, must strictly follow this advice of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thare ichha Prabhu sange Navadvipe vasi, Prabhu agya dela tumi jao Varanasi. Tapan Mishra desired to live with the Lord in Navadvipa, but the Lord asked him to go to Varanasi. Tahama sange tomar habe darshan, agya paya Mishra kaila kashite gaman. The Lord assured Tapan Mishra that they would meet again in Varanasi. Receiving this order, Tapan Mishra went there. Prabhura atarkya lila bujite na pari, sosanga chadeyad kene pathaye kashipuri. I cannot understand the inconceivable pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For although Tapan Mishra wanted to live with him in Navadvip, the Lord advised him to go to Varanasi. When Tapan Mishra met him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in household life, and there was no indication that in the future he would accept the sannyas order. But by asking Tapan Mishra to go to Varanasi, he indicated that in the future he would accept sannyas, and that when he would teach Sanatana Goswami, Tapan Mishra would take advantage of the opportunity to learn the object of life and the real process for attaining it. So that's why he sent Tapan Mishra. Although Mahaprabhu at this time, he was a very young boy, Kashore age. But so I guess that's why he didn't want to instruct Tapan Mishra right now. Ei mata bangir loker kaila mahahita, nama dhiya bhakta kaila padaya pandita. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu contributed the greatest benefit to the people of East Bengal by initiating them into Harinam, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and making them learned scholars by educating. So following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Krishna consciousness movement is distributing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and inducing people all over the world to chant. We are giving people an immense treasury of transcendental literature translated into all the important languages of the world. And by the grace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this literature is selling profusely and people are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with great delight. This is the preaching process of the Chaitanya cult. Since the Lord wanted this cult preached all over the world, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is acting in a humble way so that the vision of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may be fulfilled all over the world, especially in Western countries. So this is what Mahaprabhu wanted, and Prabhupada really worked hard to establish ISKCON in this way. So the preaching goes on. Ei mat bange Prabhu kare nana lila, etha Navadvipe Lakshmi virahe dukhi haila. Because the Lord was engaged in various ways in preaching work in East Bengal, his wife Lakshmi Devi was very unhappy at home in separation from her husband. Prabhura viraha sarpa Lakshmi redan shina, viraha sarpe vishe tara paraloka haila. The snake of separation bit Lakshmi Devi, and its poison caused her death. Thus she passed to the next world. She went back home, back to Godhead. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, yam yam vapi smarana bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram. One's practice in thinking throughout his entire life determines the quality of his thoughts at death. And thus, at death, one obtains a suitable body. According to this principle, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune from Vaikuntha, who was absorbed in thought of the Lord in separation from him, certainly went back home to Vaikuntha Loka after death. So, when he was in East Bengal, Lakshmi Priya, she left her body in separation. See, Mahaprabhu's Leela is all about thinking or connection in separation. So Lakshmi Devi or Lakshmi Priya, she, of course, she is Lakshmi Ji herself. She came from Vaikuntha and she went back to Vaikuntha. Antare janila Prabhu yate antaryami deshere aila Prabhu shachi dukha jan. Lord Chaitanya knew about the disappearance of Lakshmi Devi because he is the super soul himself. Thus he returned home to solace his mother, Shachi Devi, who was greatly unhappy about the death of her daughter-in-law. Ghare aila Prabhu bahu laya dhana jan, tattva jnane kaila shachir dukha vimochan. When the Lord returned home, bringing with him great wealth and many followers, he spoke to Shachi Devi about transcendental knowledge to relieve her of the grief she was suffering. So Shachi Devi was sad that her daughter-in-law left the body so soon. And Mahaprabhu, first she didn't tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that she is dead. So when Mahaprabhu came back, he asked, where is Lakshmi? Lakshmi Priya, I don't see her. So first she didn't tell, but Mahaprabhu knew. So he spoke to Mata Shachi Devi about transcendental knowledge. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Dehino asmin yatha dehe komaram yoganam jara tatha dehantar praptir dhirastatra namoyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Such verses from the Bhagavad Gita or any other Vedic literature give valuable instructions on the occasion of someone's passing away. By discussing such instructions from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, a sober man can certainly understand that the soul never dies, but rather passes from one body to another. This is called transmigration of the soul. A soul comes into this material world and creates bodily relationships with the father, mother, sisters, brothers, wife, and children. But all these relationships pertain to the body, not the soul. Therefore, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, Dhiras Tatra Nandhyati. One who is sober is not disturbed by such phenomenal changes within this material world. Such instructions are called Tattva Katha, or real truth. So these instructions are there, and especially at the time, occasion of someone's passing away, this is the knowledge one needs to give to the bereaving relatives or friends. And that is why generally not at the time of cremation, because at that time people are busy and they are really disturbed. But when this kriya happens, the chotha or terma, whatever, that time actually people are ready to listen to some katha, some instructions. So Krishna's arrangement, I have attended many such ceremonies. And one such ceremony they asked me to speak, and I was speaking this knowledge from Bhagavad Gita. And then in Punjabi, the pagdi thing has to take place, pagdi dasam. So I looked at the Panditji and he said, just keep going. My pagadi will take only 5 minutes. Don't worry. You still have another half an hour. So he said, I'm liking what you're saying. So people are really ready. They want this knowledge. Just we have to go and just speak. Whatever we have learned, not much, but whatever we have learned, we speak. And Krishna will help, Prabhupada will help to speak more or to give out whatever knowledge we have. But people are uh, ready for this knowledge. We just have to give it out. But at the same time, um, one has to be really careful about the use of the words and the tone. Tone of voice is very, very important. Really, if we adopt a humble attitude and speak out, people will listen. Okay, I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna.